You know, I used to get furious just like many young people. Beautiful job. This is me. 2 years experience. Now what is this? Where am I getting 2 years experience? Imagine you can, and imagine you have, if only you learn to identify it. Volunteerism is important because it gives you an avenue to build on your skills, soft skills, and even the other professional skills. Now, take 2 examples. One person says, I'm from a family where things are okay, we are doing well, I don't need to go volunteer. So when I'm done, mom and dad, my uncle, my cousin is somewhere. Nitapelekwa huko, I'll go there. Another one says, I came as the Lord brought me here. I know things have not been very easy. As I'm waiting, let me go and ask somewhere if I can help do something. And that something at first is not even defined. You don't even say, nataka nikuje hapa nifanye hivi na hivi. You go and say, do you have anything that I can help you with? Now, the difference is the one here wants a specific thing taken by specific individuals to a specific place. Even those who have the means to put you in a place cannot just pick you and put you there immediately. They have to consult and tell the person, you know, this is my nephew, this is my guy. Meanwhile, the other one who has said, put me anywhere, kuja, we need help here and here. So immediately they begin to learn. You begin to learn perseverance. In the place of work, we know, utatumika, you'll be used. Yeah. What we say is be used but not abused. If abusing, then that's different. Yeah. But you'll be used. Take this paper, go to town, deliver this. They even forgot to give you lunch, and hey, they forget you need to come here the next day. Yeah. But guess what? It's helping you build resilience. It's helping you build networks. When you go to town, there's somebody you meet. You deliver a paper or a letter. Jina yako ni nani? Beryl. Maritime. Oh, okay, Beryl. Uko na number? You're building your network. Then the next time you keep meeting, you become familiar to each other. So you say, what do you do? I'm in administration in this place. And you? I'm a volunteer here. Okay. So you to my CV. Don't worry, you send it straight in their computer, but they will remember. The more you start getting in touch, the more they remember this person who is good in doing something. So it helps you develop skills. It helps you in interpersonal relationships and conversations with other people. Now, I'll give you a statement my father gave me. Riches in this world are people. It's people. And success in this world is people. So when you relate with people is where your success comes. It is you who will find that you're happy with somebody with something and then recommend them somewhere. So volunteerism for me is very good. The only thing now, this is specifically not to the young people, it's to those who, young people knock doors to come and say, I would like to volunteer. Please don't take advantage of them. Please help mentor them and leave them with something they can carry. Anyone who volunteered in my places of work where I worked, sometimes we didn't have a budget, but I promised them a letter that once written, when you present it somewhere, people will say, please come, we want to talk to you. And then I also helped them to do their CVs in a certain way. Now, look at it. That's part of the work that God now gave me doing now. So he was actually helping me practice what he knew I would be doing, but he wanted to see if you can do it out of your own generosity and in obedience to his work, to serve him and then to know him along the way. Yeah. So that's what I would say. Now, that's a beautiful question. We have people who do degrees, certificates, and diplomas for their parents. My dad says, if I'm not a lawyer, do not walk through that door. My mother says, if you don't become a nurse, do not come into this house. And they do it to please their parents. Now, we are hoping as time goes by, the kind of new parents that are coming up will not put their children to that pressure. Now, if you went through that, and it will happen because I tell you, nothing is new under the sun. So the cycle always repeats itself. So there are those who will be forced by their parents to do something. It's well and good, you have finished it. After that, it's good to do also some of these tests that we do to check our what you call your personality, to look at what kind of areas you'd fit in. Once you do that, it guides you to where you need to be. Then there are people internally, they just internally design, the DNA takes them to a certain direction. Every course you do is not a waste. There is no course in this world that is a waste. Similarly to every experience in your life, if you learn and you're taught how to apply each of those, you'll discover that even the first thing you did can still be applied. Now, you did law, but you didn't want to be a lawyer. You actually wanted to go and do finance. Do you realize that when you're in finance, when you're doing procurement, when you're doing contracts, it's the law that you'll be relying on. And sometimes you'll be told to go and study paralegal to understand. Now, good for you, you studied law, isn't it? So some others, I went into, say, I'll give you an example, a very practical example. One of the directors, owners of Homeboys, yes, he studied biochemistry. Yes, and I remember when all of us were asking him, so, umeenda England? Yes, kusoma nini? He says, sound engineering. Why? Because him and his younger brother, from the time they were in high school, they used to do music. It was something that was in them. Ultimately, which business did he start? Now, he runs a radio station, he does a lot of other events, and that came from the passion. But does it mean that he wasted the biochemistry? No, because in his sense of analyzing work when he's doing his management, he uses that to be able to tell what needs to be done. Yeah. Now take another last example. There are people who are born with skills in sports, sort of the Omanyaras, yes, and they have to go to school because they know if I don't do this, my parents will never look at me. So they go and study what they have done. But eventually they pursue their career in sports. They end up having branded businesses in the sports area. They become people who are the ones who are marketing sports, and they grow. So for me, as my dad again would remind me, that every area of study is just but a vehicle. And a vehicle has two purposes: to carry individuals and to take them to a destination. So that's it. Yes. Yeah. Now, number one, a mother. You know, we always now, he's looking at me saying, boss, you're the man. Eh? But I'll tell you why. Remember, I told you when I grew up, I was raised as a single, by a single parent before my mother now got married. And why I always now start with my mother. When I teach leadership, I ask people, who is your hero or heroine? And we say Mandela, Jomo Kenyatta, Julius Nyerere. I was like that until I realized there's an unsung hero who is my mother. Without her carrying me along to those areas, without her meeting my father now, who influenced me a lot, I wouldn't be exactly who I am today. So that influence from her has really helped me to realize that she played a fundamental role in my life. Then now I go to my dad, who became a father of many, because I grew up in an area that I was not, I can't say underprivileged. When I compare myself with the friends who would now come home, and I saw how my father treated them. Yeah, I had friends who grew up in Mukuru, I had friends who grew up in Kibera. They would come home. And today, many of them, some are engineers, today they tell me, if it wasn't speaking to your dad and how he spoke to us. See, that's the key. They kept telling me it's the how he speaks to us. Yeah. So that influence has also been something that I always sing about. And then you remember my grandfather, the one I told you. And ultimately, in our family, many people tend to do business. And it so just happened that one of the best business people I saw growing up was my grandma. She used to sell bananas. And I could see how she was doing it. So she influenced many others in doing so. So those are some of the people who have influenced. There are many others. Of course, when you enter into a place of work, there are bosses who really nurtured me. I was lucky. I have worked for both men and women bosses. Now, I remember the first place of my work, official work, was a couple, because it was a faith-based institution called the Mennonite Central Committee. So there they work as man and wife, and they're in charge of the program. So I saw how man and wife relate during work. That was very useful for me today, because my wife and I work together. And how you relate. You know, people think it's all smooth, but you watch how they are relating. There's good days, there's bad days, and it teaches you how to be able to resolve things professionally at work. And then you go back home, everybody takes the other role: husband, wife, mama watoto, baba watoto. Yeah. So then the next job, the chairperson of my board then was a lady. She taught me something in time management, and never being held ransom by people who come and say, excuse me, where's the agenda? Could we go back? She taught me something fabulous. If you didn't make it on time, it really doesn't matter. We respect you and your seniority, but we're moving on. Yeah. So for her, that's what I learned. Then I met another boss who is quite a well-known figure in this country, and from him is the philanthropy and the ability to work with other individuals and be able to network and bring resources together. He's pretty good at doing that, yeah? So I learned that from him. Then another boss who happened to have been a mathematician, a teacher, before he rose into this country into very high positions, including head of AMREF, is that you learn to work with who you have and the people around you. And you're not guaranteed that everybody thinks like you, but it's your business to help them see your vision, even when they are against you. And he says the best joy is when you know very well somebody is against you, and finally they come and tell you, I think what you're doing is very good. So that's what I've learned. Then I've also learned working with young people. Sometimes if you meet a young boss, and this is to the young people when they step out or they are working there, you'll meet a young boss and you're young. Our presumption is that bosses know everything. They don't. But there's also a fear the bosses have. They know they're young and they know they have been put in charge. They don't want to look like they don't know. So it limits them from asking the one below. Because how do I ask this one and then I'll be seen like I don't know? So my recommendation and advice to them is don't fear. Don't fear that these people will take over your work. They won't. What God has set for you, it's yours. And if it's not yours, whether you work with them, don't work with them, the day will come, it will end. Yeah? The best part is when it ends and they know you supported them. They will always remember. And you see, the world is very interesting. Once you go out again, you never know where you're meeting the next time. So that's what I would advise also for the young people, and to think about it. And then to guarantee you that in a place of work, it will never be smooth. It depends on our personalities, it depends on our stress levels, and it depends on what each individual came planning to achieve out of that organization. So be prepared mentally for that, and don't take things personal when you are there. Even if you abuse me today, I will be upset for that point, but people who have trained themselves, they get upset, they want to react, then they say, I don't know which side she woke up. I don't know which side he woke up from. So let me give it 24 hours. Yeah, so you let it go. Yeah, after a week, excuse me, Beryl, what was all that about? Yeah, so you learn. Yeah. Number one, I love sports. So once in a while, I do go play basketball with my kids. I love playing football, and I also love swimming. So those are the things I like for like a hobby. Number two, which now that one has sort of gone down a bit, and my wife has been challenging me. I was a very good dancer. In fact, I have certificates, yes, national, not just here, and competitive, including breakdance. So I still love dancing. Recently, I went to my alumni school. I was in Highway Secondary. So when they invited us, I asked them, now you guys, you look too serious. Are there guys who do beatbox? First of all, they started talking to each other, you know, like, hey, yeah. I said, no, I'm looking for somebody. So who can be my teammate here? And so they came, and then I said, are there dancers? They said, yes. So the principal said, you go. And we were there, and they were in shock, literally, yeah. I still have it, and I love it. And then, of course, I love working out when I have the time. That's part of my DNA. And I've seen now it transcend into my kids. All of them, even the girls, they are all into physical fitness and what. So I say that's good for them. Yes, so that's what I enjoy. And then I love stories, sitting and chatting, having a story. Richard tells me about Cornerstone. You tell me about the UON or multimedia. Just sharing. So that's what I enjoy for a hobby. And then I love good meals. Chapati is my favorite. But I think I should be getting off because I don't just eat a chapati. I will not say how many I eat. Then I have the excuse that it's because I was in bodybuilding. Yes. Yes. Right now I'm reading a book called The Big Money Energy by somebody called Rayan Shahand. That's one. I read a bit. I love biographies and self-help or self-train books, yeah, and history. So that's the one I'm reading currently. But there is a book I must recommend for everybody, including President William Ruto. This book is written by an Asian guy now, Sujit. And it is called Failing to Succeed. So it's looking at all your failures and showing you the success pattern. That in all these failures, it's 101 steps of failure that help you to be successful. It can be found at Pauline's bookshop, the one in Westlands, and I believe I was also told at the Catholic bookshop. It's a wonderful book. Very small, very easy to read. That one you can even read with your younger siblings, as long as they're able to read from class 7. They can read that book. That's how easy it is. And that's how powerful it is. Yeah. So yes, and I love reading. Reading is important for all of us. Now, my parting shot is number one. The youth are the pillar of this nation. And it's not just a statement. And the youth must equip themselves for the generation that is coming on and also for the times that we have entered into. However, a caution is that when they do whatever they do, they must not be disillusioned or enter into depression or frustration to the point that they forget that they have the years ahead of them to perfect and sharpen themselves. So let them be patient, but at the same time, let them continue the curiosity and the probing, and that will help them to succeed. The other thing I would also want to say is, do not allow the element of family to die. And I say that with very deep sense of understanding what's happening around the world, and that if you allow the family to disintegrate, then you do not have a society. So as much as we are youth and doing youthful things, of course they want to go out. There are those who go out. Those who go to have fun, they go have fun. Those who go to see you, go to see you. Those who go to music club, go to music club. Those who are in the art club, do that. But at the end of it, also remember, it's what you'll do for society that will count. And Kenya was built by many hands. And so be able to gear yourself in everything you do, even when you are entertaining yourself. At the end of the entertainment, you say, okay, I'm pretty happy, but what have I also done for Kenya? That was for myself. What have I done for Kenya? If you keep that self-awareness, you will be in the right direction. And then finally, to tell them, allow failure not to be the limiting factor, but actually to be the stepping stone to your life and where you're going. And the very last one, believe in something higher than yourself, not people. Not my uncle is in this position, not that my great grandfather owns this company, something higher than that, because all those can be wiped out. And it is up to you and the higher being, and for us it's God, to be able to know that there is hope tomorrow. So that's what I would leave you with. Yeah.